Hey, you geeks! I must say, I had little desire to read the Screwtape Letters because everyone always said, oh, you've got to read them, but never very much on what they were about. I always hear the same thing, that it's about a senior demon writing to a subordinate about how to corrupt a soul, which, with Lewis's tendency towards preaching,
Doesn't sound too fun.
yet, surprisingly, it was. Though it's the sort of storytelling that makes my normal review style practically impossible. So, at the risk of sounding cliche, here are 10 things no one ever says about the Screwtape Letters, without spoiling the end. Setting. Before opening this book, I never occurred to me that these letters would be set during World War II. Screwtape is, of course, in hell. He is the senior demon, but he is writing to his nephew, who is in charge of tempting a man in England during the Blitz. Lewis does love using World War II as a backdrop. Since everyone always talks about the timeless and universal moral insight the letters provide, I had figured it would be set somewhere non-specific. And Screwtape himself doesn't care too much about the setting. As for him, it's only useful as a means of exploiting the man's soul. It has a plot. Again, people really only talk about the moral lectures contained within the letters, but between his sharp insights on the human condition, Lewis spins both an A-plot, that is, the modern everyman tale of the battle for the man's soul.
Where's the other guy? No!
And a B-plot, which explores the affection and mutual desire between Screwtape and Wormwood, his nephew. Or maybe it's the other way around. Since Screwtape is the main character, his story is in hell, not England, where the battle for the soul occurs. So the main plot is more him giving insights into demons, men, and the opposition through his extremely narrow perspective. Hell's bureaucracy. I swear, it's like Lewis looked at the medieval everyman play and said, you know what this needs? Office politics.
We have sort of a problem here. Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports.
Remember when working in cubicles used to be the most dreaded part of the work week? Oh, pre-2020 problems. Still, Lewis is right. People and demons, it seems, will fight for even the slightest advantage. The B-plot shows how petty demons can be and what extent their affections bring in the end. It also features another one of Lewis's favorite devices, the secret police.
Lost something, have we?
Don't patronize me. I know where your allegiance lies.
It doesn't say they look like wolves, but I'm still stuck in Narnia and miffed at Tolkien and Lewis for giving wolves such a bad rap. The music of life. Lewis does love to talk about music and morality. His lecture in Mere Christianity is made infinitely more pithy here. Heaven, the regions where there is only life, and therefore all that is not music is silence. Music and silence. How I detest them both. Due to my recently gained fascination with Pythagoras' music of the spheres theory, letter 22 is probably my favorite letter.
Look at that guy. He's got that sissy stringy music thing.
I'm still looking for a direct connection between Lewis and that particular theory, besides that he, as an Oxford Don, would probably be familiar with the concept. But this section further explores the concept, even if tangential. And I love a good tangent. Eternity and time. Another theme Lewis likes to touch on, this one I recall from Till We Have Faces. Here we get another discussion on how prayer and God acts within time.
But actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
This theme doesn't hold particular interest for me yet, though I infer that if you are one of my hardcore viewers, you might have obscure philosophical fancies like this topic, and maybe it would interest you. The Defense of the Beard. I know many of my viewers are men who may have heard C.S. Lewis's brilliant defense of the beard. Thus, we have now for many centuries triumphed over nature, to the extent of making certain secondary characteristics of the male, such as the beard, disagreeable to nearly all the females. I am unfortunately one of those females who don't like beards, and have been told this quote a number of times. If you've heard it before but not known where it came from, now you know. It's the Screwtape Letters. Booktubers beware. Another line that called me out good was the following insight. For all your blunders, you allowed the patient to read a book he really enjoyed because he enjoyed it and not in order to make clever remarks about it to his new friends. It's a good reminder. I always look for quips about what I read, but I try not to read books only for the purpose of making quips. Though in truth, I find it hard to write reviews about things I don't genuinely enjoy on some level. In short, this book is a collection of perfect quips that are hilarious because they are true. It has 2 parts. What now makes up the Screwtape Letters book is actually 2 different writings written years apart and originally published separately. Each part has its own foreword that explains all this. The first part is the letters, which I've already discussed. The second is a speech by Screwtape at a graduation of demons about to be set unto the world. It's one of the best convocation speeches I've ever heard.
It's a big day for you, sweetheart.
Oh, he's going to quote a dead guy.
Imposition of culture. One interesting point Screwtape makes in his convocation speech is that the imposition of the English culture on the rest of the world was in part the work of demons. My own experience, as I have said, was mainly on the English sector. You must labor to make the country you are dealing with more like what England already is. This is a very interesting point to bring up when discussing art and culture today. There are, of course, universalities that span cultures because, in the end, we are all humans, but the modern English perspective, which Screwtape advocates, that imposes similarities that do not exist, is not good. Once culture starts functioning again, I highly recommend you bring up this point at parties. Spontaneous metamorphosis.
Gregor Samsa awoke one morning to discover that he had been transformed into a giant cockroach. Nah, too good.
To end with something amusing, about halfway through the story, Screwtape metamorphosizes into a giant bug. In the heat of composition, I find that I have inadvertently allowed myself to assume the form of a large centipede. I am accordingly dictating the rest to my secretary. Lewis, of course, uses this to say something profound, but I had to pause the book for a good giggle. Later, Screwtape talks about how the woman the man was seeing probably finds demons like him very silly, and this is my favorite part of this book, conveying the silliness of hell without making it frivolous. And that is a goal at which I constantly strive. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more. Your patronage is greatly appreciated.